Right now, hidden inside every one of your cells, there's a set of instructions 3 billion letters long. Most of yours are almost identical to the person sitting next to you. But scattered through that code are tiny spelling mistakes, ancient leftovers, and glitches so rare that only a handful of people on Earth carry them. Some make you weaker. Some make you a genetic superhero and you'd never even know it. By the end of this video, I promise at least one of these is going to describe you exactly, and it's going to feel like I've been reading your medical file. So let's go through the rarest DNA you might be walking around with right now, starting with the ones almost everyone underestimates. Let's start with something small. When you eat asparagus, and then a little while later you go to the bathroom, do you notice a very specific, very strange smell? Or do you smell absolutely nothing at all? Because here's the twist. Everyone's body breaks asparagus down into the same sulfur compounds. The smell is always there. What changes is whether you have a working version of a gene that lets you detect it. Around a third of people are essentially blind to this smell. They think their pee is normal. It is not. They just can't smell the evidence. So, if you never noticed, congratulations. You've been living in blissful ignorance your entire life. And if you're the person who always noticed, you've just learned that half the room has been quietly stinking up the bathroom and had no idea. Now here's one that has genuinely ended friendships. Cilantro. To most people it tastes fresh, bright, a little citrusy, but to a small group of people it tastes like soap, like actual dish soap. And for years everyone assumed those people were just being dramatic. They weren't. There's a specific gene near your smell receptors, and one variant of it makes you hypersensitive to the aldehyde compounds in cilantro, the very same family of chemicals used in soaps and lotions. So it's not pickiness. Their DNA is literally converting a herb into a cleaning product. If that's you, you were right the whole time, and you can show this to every person who ever put cilantro on your tacos and called you fussy. Let's talk about your ears for a second, because this one is wild. Reach up and think about your earwax. Is it wet and sticky, or is it dry and flaky? Because that single trait comes down to one letter in one gene, and that same letter controls something else entirely, your body odor. The exact same gene that decides whether your earwax is wet or dry also decides how much your armpits sweat the smelly kind of sweat. People with the dry earwax version, which is incredibly common across East Asia, produce dramatically less body odor. Some barely produce any at all. So your earwax isn't just earwax. It's a preview of how much deodorant you were genetically destined to need, and nobody ever told you the two were connected. Okay, here's where it starts getting stranger. Step out into bright sunlight, or walk out of a dark cinema into the daylight. Do you suddenly sneeze? 2, 3 times? For no reason? About 1 in 4 people do this, and for most of them, it runs straight down the family tree, parent to child, generation after generation. It's a genetic quirk where the signal for bright light and the signal for sneezing get their wires crossed somewhere in your nervous system. Scientists literally gave it a backronym, calling it the ACHO syndrome, because researchers apparently love a good joke. It's harmless. But it means a specific fraction of you have been sneezing at the sun your whole life and just assumed everyone did it. They don't. Now, let's leave the quirks behind, because the next ones actually change what your body can do. Have you ever met someone who just seems to need way less sleep than everyone else? They're up at 5, they went to bed at midnight, and they're completely fine, genuinely thriving, while you need a solid 8 hours or you're a zombie? For a long time, we assumed those people were just running on caffeine and denial. But a rare mutation in a gene that helps run your internal body clock lets a tiny number of people function perfectly on 4 to 6 hours of sleep. Not by pushing through exhaustion. Their brains actually complete the restorative work of sleep faster. This mutation is extraordinarily rare, and here's the important part. You almost certainly don't have it. If you think you're a short sleeper, you're probably just sleep deprived and used to it. But somewhere out there, a handful of people are getting 2 extra hours of life every single day, for free, written into their code. Speaking of things written into your muscles, there's a gene that acts like a brake pedal on how much muscle you can build. It produces a protein whose entire job is to tell your muscles, that's enough, stop growing. Now imagine that brake pedal is broken. A small number of people, and even some animals, are born with a mutation that switches this off. And the result is exactly what you'd expect. Children with double the normal muscle mass. Toddlers who can hold their arms out horizontally at birth and keep them there. Kids who are visibly unusually strong before they've ever lifted a thing in their life. It's incredibly rare in humans, but it's real, it's documented, and researchers are studying it right now to help people with muscle wasting diseases. Your DNA has a strength ceiling built in. a few people were simply born without one. Let's talk about your bones, because there's a version of this that sounds like a comic book origin. Most of us, if we take a serious fall, we break something. But there is a rare mutation that makes bones extraordinarily, almost impossibly dense. There's a documented family where members walked away from severe car accidents without a single fracture. Doctors examined them and found bones so strong they were off the charts, essentially unbreakable under normal forces. The same biological pathway pushed the other direction causes brittle bone disease. So this one gene sits on a knife's edge. Tip it one way and your bones shatter. Tip it the other and you become nearly indestructible. And the people who have the lucky version often go decades without ever realizing why they've never broken a bone in their life. Now here's one that could quite literally save your life without you ever knowing. There's a doorway on the surface of certain immune cells, a receptor called CCR5, and it's the exact door that HIV uses to break in and infect you. But some people are born with a deletion in that gene. The door is bricked up, it doesn't form properly. And people who inherit this from both parents are highly resistant to the most common strain of HIV. The virus shows up, tries to get in, and simply can't find the entrance. This trait is most common in people of Northern European descent, and there's a haunting theory that it was selected for by surviving ancient plagues. The bodies that could resist one killer accidentally became resistant to a future one. You could be carrying this right now and never have any reason to find out. Let's go deeper into your blood, because this next one is the rarest of them all. You know your blood type, A, B, O, positive or negative. But underneath those letters are dozens of other markers, and there's an incredibly rare type where a person is missing all of them, every single Rh marker. It's called Ra null, and it's so rare that in the entire recorded history of blood science, only a few dozen people have ever been found to have it. It's nicknamed golden blood, and here's the beautiful, terrifying reason why. Because it lacks all those markers, it can be given to almost anyone with a rare blood type. It's the universal lifeline, but the person who has it is in constant danger, because if they ever need a transfusion, only another golden blood person on Earth can safely donate to them. These people are living, breathing, medical treasures. And there are fewer of them alive than there are people in most classrooms. Now, let's talk about your eyes, and a superpower most people have never heard of. You see color using cells in your eye called cones, and almost everyone has 3 types, letting you see roughly 1 million shades. But a rare group of people, almost always women, are born with a 4th type of cone, 4 channels instead of 3. And in theory, the ones whose brains fully use that extra channel can see up to 100 million colors. Shades that are completely invisible to the rest of us, distinctions in a sunset or a leaf that you and I will never be able to perceive, no matter how hard we try. They often don't even realize they have it, because to them, that's just what the world looks like. They assume everyone sees what they see. They don't. Most of us are walking around in a dimmer version of reality and don't even know a brighter one exists. Here's one that sounds like a fairy tale but is completely real. There was a family, generations of them, who were born with blue skin. Not tinted, not bruised, genuinely blue. It came from an extremely rare recessive condition affecting how their blood carried oxygen, and because they lived in an isolated area, the trait kept getting passed down as the family intermarried. They were otherwise perfectly healthy and lived long lives. Bright blue people living quietly for over a century, all because of a single rare variant that 2 parents both happened to carry. Genetics doesn't just tweak the small stuff. Sometimes it changes the color of a human being. And now the one I saved for last, because it's the one that fascinates and frightens doctors the most. Imagine feeling no pain, none, ever. There's an extraordinarily rare mutation that shuts down the pathway your nerves use to send pain signals to your brain. And people born with it genuinely cannot feel physical pain at all. Now, your first instinct is that this sounds amazing. It is the opposite of a gift. Pain is your body's alarm system. These children bite through their own tongues without noticing. They break bones and keep walking on them. They don't pull their hand off a hot stove because nothing tells them to. Parents have to watch them every second of every day. It's a chilling reminder that even the things we hate about our bodies, even pain itself, are usually there to keep us alive. And the people missing it would give anything to feel what you complain about. So here's what I want you to sit with. Every strange thing we just went through, the soap-tasting herb, the golden blood, the unbreakable bones, the eyes that see 100 million colors, All of it comes from tiny variations in the same code that you're carrying right now. You are a 1 in billions arrangement of these letters. Some of your quirks you notice today for the very first time, some you'll never be able to detect from the inside. But you are, without exaggeration, genetically unlike anyone who has ever lived or ever will. So tell me in the comments, which of these is you? The asparagus one? The cilantro one? The sun sneeze? Because I guarantee at least one of them just described you perfectly. And if this made you look at yourself a little differently, there's a whole other side of your DNA I haven't even touched yet, and that's exactly where one of our upcoming video begins.